Hi, I'm Francisca Perez and I am going to present the paper utilizing automatic query reformulations as genetic operations to improve feature location in software models. Increasingly, the model-driven engineering community is paying more attention to the techniques offered by the search-based software engineering community. This has led to the combination of model-driven engineering and search-based software engineering techniques in a new field of study known as search-based model-driven engineering, where search-based techniques are applied to model-driven engineering tasks such as feature location in models. Feature location is one of the most frequent maintenance tasks undertaken by developers, where it is essential that developers find the elements of the system features. The term feature refers to a specific functionality or characteristic of a product. The goal of feature location in models is to identify the model fragment that is associated with that specific functionality. For example, to locate a feature in models, a domain expert provides a description of a specific functionality. Then the description is used as search query in a search-based model-driven engineering technique to locate the model fragment that is relevant for that feature. In this case, 3 model elements are identified as relevant, model element 1, 2, and 3, and they are highlighted in gray and they conform a model fragment. In search-based model-driven engineering, as in search-based software engineering, only 3 ingredients are needed. The first one is a representation encoding of the problem. In case of feature location in models, the candidate solutions are encoded as position of a bit string where the positions of the relevant model fragment are set to 1. The second ingredient is the definition of a fitness function, which can be the similarity between the feature description and the model fragment. The third ingredient is the definition of a set of operators to produce new candidate solutions. All of the 64 works from a recent survey randomly mix information to produce new candidate solutions by means of crossover and mutation operations. We argue that genetic operations could leverage the latent semantics that models hold instead of randomly generating candidate solutions. In this work, we propose a novel adaptation of automatic query reformulations as genetic operations. From a model fragment population, the automatic query reformulations are used in terms of model elements to evolve the population with new model fragments. For example, here we have different model fragments that conform a model fragment population and a model fragment to be reformulated. Here we have the 4 variants that we propose in this work and their result, which is a new model fragment in the population. For example, variant 1 is expansion, and expansion selects one term, in this case, to expand the model fragment to be reformulated. As a result, a new model fragment is produced with an element that contains that term. To evaluate this work, we seek to answer the following 3 research questions, which are related to the performance in terms of precision, recall, and F-measure of the 2 variants that we set and the 4 model reformulation variants. Also, if the difference in performance is significant and by how much. To perform the evaluation, the dataset we use is provided by your industrial partner CAF, which is an international provider of railway solutions all over the world. CAF uses models which are expressed in the Train Control Management Language, which is a domain-specific language, to generate the C++ code that controls the trains. CAF provides us with 23 trains, where each product model on average is composed of more than 1,200 elements and 121 features descriptions. This figure shows the evaluation process that is planned to answer each research question. Here we have the inputs which are provided by our industrial partner, that are the different product models, the different feature descriptions, and the approved feature realization. And here we have the different approaches that we are going to evaluate the feature location. Baseline 1 is the evolutionary algorithm that used the most popular choice of genetic operation of the search-based model-driven engineering community. Baseline 2 is similar, but it changes the single point crossover operation with randomly generated mask. And here we have the 4 variants that we are going to evaluate. To assess the quality of each model fragment, a confusion method was calculated. From the table, we recorded 3 performance measures: recall, precision, and F measure, and we also performed a statistical analysis to provide quantitative evidence of the impact of the results. To conclude, it is important to highlight that automatic query reformulations can be utilized as genetic operations in the context of search-based model-driven engineering. Specifically, we claim that the results are improved compared to the most popular choices of genetic operations. This is relevant for the search-based model-driven engineering community, since feature location is an essential task for software maintenance and evolution. There are significant differences in performance in terms of the solution quality of the automatic query reformulations when they are used. So, we provide recommendations on when to use each operator. Our adaptation has been designed to be generic and applicable not only to feature location and to the domain of our industrial partner, but also to other tasks and domains. Since software models are the main artifacts of search-based model-driven engineering, other works from the community can benefit from our adaptation. Although our work focuses on models, our results can also motivate search-based software engineering researchers to evaluate whether automatic query reformulations as genetic operations can improve the quality of the solution when other artifacts, such as code, are used. That's all. Please check the paper to find more information and let me know if you have any doubts. Thanks for your attention.
Hi everyone, welcome back to this Q&A session. We are now in the Q&A session for the paper titled Utilizing Automatic Query Reformulations as Genetic Operations to Improve Feature Location in Software Models. This paper was published in Transactions of Software Engineering last year, and we have Francisca, the first author of the paper, with us here to answer any questions you might have. So please pop your questions into the chat panel, and she'll be happy to answer them. Francisca, perhaps a very high-level question while we expect for questions from the audience. You've applied this idea of query reformulation, which I have to say is very novel to me. I hadn't heard about it before. To feature location, as you say, is a very important task for software developers, right? In the presentation, you did mention other tasks or domains. Have you played with this approach in some other tasks, and could you be able to give us a little bit more of insights into these other areas?
Well, I mentioned in the paper book location and traceability recovery, but it remains as a feature work to apply these reformulation operations. I have experience applying them in previous work with the traditional operations, the random ones, but not this one. So this is a feature work.
Mm-hmm. What makes feature location particularly suitable for this idea of query reformulation? So why is it that of all the problems in model-driven software engineering, you pick feature location?
Well, we pick feature location because it's one of the most common and necessary activities during maintenance of software. And that's the main reason. And the second one is that we have the term availability. In order to apply these operations, it's necessary that the terms are available. So we have the terms available in the feature description and in the different model elements. So for that reason, we can apply these kind of techniques instead of applying the random operations that randomly mix information in the models until the optimal or near optimal solution is found. So in this case, these terms can be used, and that's the point why we use it.
You have this 4 reformulation variants: expansion, replacement, reduction, and selection. Is there additional variants that you potentially could extend this approach with, or do you think that these are already comprehensive?
Well, we selected the criteria to select the techniques was, for example, we selected expansion because it's one of the most applied. But I think that we selected the ones that are most used or they were applied in code. But I think it's a good question because this work is not finished. We are going to work on this because we plan as future work to continue working, not only exploring new operations that can be proposed, but also combining them. For example, we can combine replacement and selection and see how the results are, or we can combine the traditional operations, the ones that mix the randomly mixed information with these reformulations operations. So yeah, it's an open work, and we plan to explore different combinations and different techniques.
Perhaps of course it's not part of the work, and it's certainly out of the scope of this paper, I would imagine. But is there any sense in attempting to compare how well you can explore the search landscape with these reformulation strategies as opposed to more general or more traditional operators? So
I'm not sure if I get the question. Could you repeat it, please?
Yes. So with what you're proposing is this reformulation variant, and this perhaps will allow you to explore the search space in a different way. Yes. So because I'm not familiar with this idea of reformulation variants, and I'm just wondering if there is some fundamental differences in the way in which you are going to explore the space with these operators as opposed to traditional operators.
Yeah, well, the point is that you take, instead of randomly selected the elements, where when you explore the search space, you are selecting the relevant elements, the ones that can be related with the feature being located, taking into account, for example, the frequency of the terms that are related to the model fragment to be reformulated and the relevant model fragments that are in the population. So it's not random, and depending on the relevant terms that are included in the population, the new search space, well, the model elements that are going to be included in new elements of the population are going to take into account this, the relevance of the terms, instead of randomly selecting the terms. So that's the main difference. When you explore the search space, you are not going to do it randomly. You are going to take into account the latent semantics of the models instead of randomly.
And if I could follow up on that idea that you kind of step away from randomization, right? There is something very positive about randomization, and it's that if you are starting a local maximum, it allows you to jump to other parts of the search space and perhaps explore other areas that you wouldn't be able to if you remain where you are. Are you losing that by applying this reformulation?
No, you can explore other areas, because if you have model fragments of the population that are elements that are relevant, even they are model elements from a different area of the model, you can get elements from that area. So you can do it in a similar way, but not randomly selecting the elements. Like, selecting the elements that can be most related with the terms that you are looking for. That's the difference.
Yeah. Right. I'm struggling to understand why people are not asking questions, but we have 2 more minutes, so it's a nice conversation. It's almost like a coffee break now.
Yeah.
So my background is on test case generation. I'm trying to think of how this could be applied in test case generation. Would you have any idea of this? Could you be able to conjecture how this could potentially be applied in particular for test case generation?
But you mean test generation that you my point is, in order to have the idea how to apply the operators there, how do you generate the test?
So you have a model, and based on your model, you could apply any form of search heuristics in order to produce test cases, and then these test cases could be executed against the code, right?
Okay. So let me think about it. Yes, if you generate the test, you can use, for example, you can use the operators to generate the test, taking into account the information of the code, and that will be one way to apply the operators. Yes, I think that will be one way. Yes. That's my first idea.
That's fine. I wouldn't expect you to come up with a full solution at this point. But yes, thank you very much. I think we are running short of time now. There will be a discussion page, I think for your paper. So I suppose that if people have further questions, or if some people want to talk to you, it would be nice if you could follow the link that will appear after the Q&A, so you could talk to other people. But apart from that, thank you very much for joining me in this Q&A session. Very nice paper, very nice work, and I really think it has a lot of potential, and I'm looking forward to see on which other tasks or domains you apply it next.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Francisca.